Kwesi Gwaza. There you go.
Always watch questions from a guy called Kwesi Gwaza.
Yes, says, hey, Dutch and James, I'm sure that you must have seen that some of the old-timers that have been in the wrestling business tend to have surgeries and feel the pain and the body aches after retiring from the ring. I would like to know if that thing has got to do with the type of rings back in the day in terms of not protecting the wrestlers because the work was safe, unlike today. P.S. I would also like to know, when did they start to change the rings? So, do you think the majority of injuries for older wrestlers derive from the rings themselves being harder than Chinese algebra?
I don't think so, not back in the old days. You just didn't take bumps. That's when you actually learn to work on the mat, taking your time, because those rings, I think, were harder than concrete. The old WWF rings didn't give. It just, walking across it would be like walking across a lobby in some bank. It's hard as a rock. So you take, and it didn't take a lot of bumps to figure that out. You take a hip toss or an arm drag and you said, I don't think anymore. And that's when you watch some old WWF matches, you see the guys walking and talking mostly. That's why they're kind of boring. And the old timers, if you were a young guy and you get in the ring with an old timer, he'd pinch you on the shoulder. Take it easy, kid. Take it easy. And you try to hip toss him, and he just locked down on it. And then sometimes locking down was accompanied by a slap right across your ear. Bam. He said, didn't I tell you to calm down? And you only needed one of those to say, well, okay, I didn't know you were adamant on it, but I'll calm it down now. Yeah, they were very, very hard. I mean, I saw them put up a ring or two like that. Oh man, they had no give. Now the rings now are a lot less hard. They give more. Now, if you see some rings and the guys bounce up, I've seen rings that had so much bounce in them, you would hit and a guy laying on the mat, and when it would come back up, it would actually spring you to your feet. That's a little bit too much. So, yeah, it was one thing is to work into the ring back in those days, which said no bumps, and to work now, it's a lot more giving, and you can see a lot of bumps. What was the last question he asked?
Well, I'll ask that in a second. I just want to make mention, because you mentioned WWF. Apparently, the rings were so hard in the Northeast because they were always set up, reinforced for battle royals, regardless if they had a battle royal or not. But I think Vince's idea was, well, you never know when you're going to want to book one.
Well, from what I understand, who taught Vince about his hard rings was Jerry Jarrett. And Jerry Jarrett said, hey, man, these guys can't take those bumps. And Vince, I'm sure he's heard about it, but he wasn't taking the bumps. So it didn't really bother him that much at all, really. But I guess Jerry Jarrett introduced him to just how they make a less hard ring. And it didn't take a genius to figure it out. And then all of a sudden, you think guys could take bumps like they do in WWE now?
No.
On a ring that they used to use? They wouldn't get up. No. Everybody would be the first guy that took the bump and couldn't get up. Guess what? All the other guys would go, they'd put the brakes on. Because you could get hurt real bad. And the question was, have I seen them? Yes, I've seen them. I've been in them. Very hard.
The other question was, I would also like to know when they started to change the rings. Well, I can fill that one in. You can back me. We actually had Dr. Tom Pritchard on a year or so ago, and I think he may have confirmed it on that episode, where I made mention, and I think he confirmed, and said that the WWF started changing the rings to be softer, more give, when Vince McMahon started wrestling and taking bumps. Because when he started taking bumps, it's like, Jesus Christ, these are killing me, and then they had him redesigned. So it's just one of those things where he had to be in their shoes, I guess.
Well, I always heard the story Jerry Jarrett told him about it. Whether he did anything then, I don't know. But yeah, when he's that'd be a good way to get a ring changed. Put the guy in charge of the company in the ring, have him take a few bumps to let him know what his talent is having to put up with. And yeah, and not only does that help the talent, it makes for better matches because you get better work out of the guys, and they're not getting killed. And especially, see, Vince Senior used to use a lot of older talent. They couldn't take those bumps. That actually break their bones. He would use in talents over 50, a lot of them, because they had been with him for years and they were his friends. So he would use them, but they didn't take any bumps, so the ring wasn't an issue then.